Hello and welcome to the lesson where I'll create such a scene using this reference. Let's get started. Here in Blender I'm going to use General, delete all of this, go to the front view by pressing 1, press Shift A to add image, background, and then choose our reference. Let's set the properties of our image. Set size to 3.7 and opacity to 0.3. Also rename our image and collection to ref. Choose the selection toggle and lock it. Name it geometry. I'll start with a bird. Press Shift A. Add mesh, cube, then enable the X-ray toggle, go to modifiers and add subdivision surface, set levels viewport to 3. Use the following hotkeys, G for moving and S for scaling. And now go to the edit mode. I'm going to add loop cuts, one over here and one over here and one in the middle. Select all, scale it down. Now we've got this. To make a tail, go to the right view and disable the X-ray toggle. Now I'm going to use the knife tool to make a cut here. Press Enter, add another one right here and press Enter once again. Use the hotkey E to extrude and enable the X-ray toggle. Scale it down, move the object by pressing G and refine it again. Go to the object mode and name it bird body. Cool. For the eye, press Shift A, go to mesh and select UV sphere. Go to the edit mode, face select, and disable the X-ray toggle, and I'm going to select these squares. Enable the X-ray toggle, right-click, select Loop Tools, and circle. If you check the side view, you will see that it is flat. Good. Go to the object mode. Now for the eye part, press Shift A, go to Mesh and add a cube. Hide this one, scale it along the Z-axis, scale it along the Y and X axis. Now scale it along Y. Add the subdivision modifier and go to the edit mode. I'm going to add a loop cut just right here. Select these vertices and press S to make it narrow and adjust to the reference. Go to the object mode. I think that it looks good. Now for the mouth, I'm going to use a cone. Now for the wing, I'm going to add a cube. Scale it along the Y-axis and move it out of the body. And let's add subdivision surface. In the edit mode, add some loop cuts in the center and another just like that. Cool. Now let's make these small pieces of feathers. Press Shift A, go to Mesh and select Cube. You can hide objects by pressing H. And again H to hide. Scale it along the Z-axis. Rotate it. Scale it along the X-axis. Now press Alt-H to unhide all of this. Bring it back just right here. And now add subdivision surface. And scale it, duplicate it, and rotate it, since I want it completely to be the front view. Just like that. Now let's add shade smooth. Now for the wooden piece, I'm going to add a cube. Scale it down, enable the X-ray toggle, rotate it, and scale it along the Z and Y-axis. And now I'm going to add some loop cuts in the edit mode. Another here, and another here. Now let's move some vertices. Go to the object mode, and now let's add bevel. Set amount to 0.02. Increase segments to 4. And then we're good to go. Press Shift D to duplicate it, enable the X-ray toggle. Now for the nail, I'm going to press Shift A, go to Mesh and select Cylinder. Move it, scale it down, enable the X-ray toggle and scale it again. Use the G hotkey and scale the cylinder and scale along the Z-axis. Go to the edit mode, select this face and delete faces. I'm going to select this edge loop and hit E to extrude it, then press S, and now I'm going to press E again to extrude along the Z-axis. And now press F to fill it and S to scale it down. Now if you want to add some bevel here, press Ctrl B. It looks like it's so stretched, so go to the object mode, press Ctrl A and apply scale. And now if I go to the edit mode and press Ctrl B, it is now so much better. Now use shade smooth. To make the nail's eyes, I'll press Shift A, UV sphere again, scale it down and move it, go to the edit mode. I'm going to add a loop cut right here and another one right here. Now enable face select, select all of this, go to loop tools and select circle, fit inside, disable flatten, and set influence to around 25%, just like that. Now enable point select, press G 2 times, press G 2 times again to make it almost like an arc. And now I'm going to use subdivision surface, go to the object mode and select shape smooth, go to the top view and press Shift B along the x-axis. Go back to the top view again, move it back a bit. Now I'd like to place the nose here. For this, I'm going to press Shift A, UV sphere, switch to the top view again, just like that. Now for this little clouds, add a UV sphere, press G, and select Shade Smooth. Press Shift D to duplicate the sphere. Now for the worm, I've hidden everything, and now let's press Shift A, go to Curve, Curve Spirals, and Archimedean. Now increase High to make it clear what we are doing. Let's add a new turn, and now let's adjust these values, let's say to 0.45. Let's reduce radius to like 0.15 and radius growth to minus 0.75. I believe that's kind of it. Now, if you notice, here's an intersection with the z-axis. I want to make this one straight. Press G to move it along the x-axis to make it completely flat on the head. Press G, Z, just like so. And now in the curve properties, I'm going to depth and make it nearly as thick as the worm is. And increase the head, press G and Z. Let's just press G, Z to make it kind of smoother. Now go to Object Mode, convert to Mesh. Now we go to the Edit Mode, select the whole loop cut, and press E to extrude it on the Z-axis, and scale it down a bit, and press E again on the Z-axis, scale it down a bit, press E again on the Z-axis, and scale it down again, move it along the Z-axis, and now let's press F. Go to the bottom one, select these ones, and I'm going to press F to fill, and go to Face, Poke Faces. Let's control this middle point, press G to kind of extrude this out. Now let's go to the Object Mode and add the Subdivision modifier and press H. Let's make it level 3. Now for the eye, press Shift A, UV sphere, scale it to kind of match to the eye of the worm. Go to the Object Mode again. Let's move this one and rotate it, scale it a bit, press Alt H. Let's just add one final thing, that is the eye closed status. Let's select the eye, press Shift S, select cursor to active, and now press Shift A to add mesh, UV sphere, and scale it down to be slightly bigger than the eye. And now let's go to the Edit Mode, hold down Alt and select Loop Cut, and press V to cut it, and right click to stay in one place. Now press Ctrl R to make a loop cut here, Ctrl R to make another one here. Using face selection, select this loop and this loop, press E and S to extrude it. Let's say 1.09. Copy it. And here, let's leave it 1 on the z-axis. Now what I'm going to do is to hit L to select this portion and hide it by pressing H, edge loop. I'm going to hit F to fill it, and then Alt H to reveal this, and then press H to hide this loop again and fill it. Press Alt H. Now go to the object mode, modifiers, add the bevel modifier. Let's make it around this. Let's add another subdivision modifier, just like that. And we're done with the eye. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the nail. Just like that, press Alt H. Let's move to the next step now. After the modeling phase, I organized and renamed everything. Now we move ahead to the next step, which is texture painting and shading. Let's start with the bird body. Select it and press Ctrl I to select everything and press H to hide it. Now here, I'm going to press Ctrl A, apply all, transformation. Now I'm going to apply the subdivision and then going to UV editing. Now select everything and press L, select all, and then press U on the keyboard and Smart UV project. We're going to set island margins to 0.1 and click OK. Now go to texture painting. I noticed that I cannot add any texture painting since there is no texture at all. So I'm going to texture slots and add a material and use a base color. Use this ×2 and this ×2. Make it all black and hit OK. Now I can draw whatever I want. Now what I'm going to do is to select fill, and here there is color. I can add a fill color to all of this or a gradient, which I do prefer for this. Now I want to select my elements here just to color pick wherever I want from it. And now I'm going to select the brush tool, and instead of mix in blend, I want it to be overlay, and the color I want it to be a little bit darker here, much better. Now let's draw. Now I want to add something. Let's get back to the layout and go to select less or more, more or less. Select more, right click on it and select remove shortcut or edit shortcut. I've edited mine to press Ctrl and wheel up and Ctrl and wheel down. To demonstrate this, go to the edit mode and just select these faces. If I press Ctrl and move the wheel up, it will select the next step of all of these textures. I'm going to the edit mode, select those again, just like so. Get back to texture paint and click on paint mask. Now anything I paint will apply to this portion right here. Now click on smear and increase radius and just decrease strength. Now disable paint mask. Now this step is extremely necessary. I have to go to image and save it as bird body base color and click save as. Get back to the layout mode and press Alt H, select the wing, press Ctrl I and press H. Now I'm going to press Ctrl A to apply all and apply the subdivision modifier, UV editing. Select anything and hit Alt to select everything and then press U, Smart UV Project. Let's leave the island margin right there and press OK. Now go to texture paint. Now what I'm going to do is create another texture, base color, make it black again. I want to fill the gradient with these two colors. Grab that brush again and make it stronger. This step is extremely important that we saved our update. Let's click save again. Go into layout. I'm going to press Ctrl A to apply all and then apply that modifier, UV editing, and select one face of this and press L and U. Select Smart UV Project. Okay. Now I'm going to texture paint and add a texture slot. Let's make it black and press OK. Now what I'm going to do is to go to this image and choose elements so that I can grab these colors. Go here and select this one. And this one is going to be this, a little bit bright. And yep, just like that. This one here, and enable the X-ray toggle. I'm going now to brush, make it mix. And now for the color, I'm going to pick this exact one. Now it's to white. Go to radius and reduce it. Now just paint along this portion right here. Press Ctrl 1 to flip to the back part of this. Now let's go to pick this yellow color. I'm going to save this image as wood piece 1 base color PNG, save image. I'm going to layout. Now it's time for another wooden piece. I'm going to press Ctrl A, apply all. Let's save this as wood piece 2 base color PNG, save image. And now let's get back to layout. Go to the nail, press Ctrl I and hide. Go to this one, press Ctrl A, apply all, and get back to UV editing. We're going to select all of this, press U, Smart UV project, click OK. Now I'm going to texture paint, texture slots, base color, black one. Now I need to add the reference image here. Kind of the gradient values. I'm going to pick this, and for this one I'm going to pick this, and now I'm going to add extra details. I want the nose to be visible here so that I can draw the mouth, but I need it to be black. So I'm going to add it just like that. Now I'm going to increase radius, increase it, kind of, and now make the string a little bit weak. And now I'm going to pick this color here to kind of give it a little extra details. And now to pick another bright color to add it here. Select finger, go to image and save as nail body base color, PNG. Go to layout and press H. Everything now looks good. Now all the other stuff is going to be materials. I'm going to create the clay shader. But before we do that, let's get to the render view. Notice that we don't have any light source. So I'm going to add some now so that I can make the clay shader properly. Press Shift A, select light, sun. Go to this light data and let's make it warm and set strength to 5. Now let's move it up and rotate it just to place here. Notice that we have shadows now. We don't want, so I want now to rotate it along the x-axis, just like so. And in the top view, I'm going to move it and rotate it again. Just like that for now. And I'm going to add another light. Press Shift A, area light for this one. I'm going to the size to make it 7 by 7 by 7 and rotate it. Just like so, and move it around here. Now I'm going to the light data and make it a little bit cold and increase power to 200 watts. And now I'm going to the top view again. Press Shift D to duplicate it and move just around here in the opposite direction. However, this time I'm going to make it 400 and make it warm. And increase the size from square to rectangle and set it to 1.5 meters. Now what I can do is to start and make the clay shader. Let's save this. And now I'm going to hide all the objects and press Shift A, Mesh, and UV Sphere. Also, I'm going to add Shade Smooth and add another subdivision surface. Now go to the Shading tab and turn on the Render View. Go to Material, add a new and name it Clay. Clay. Let's change the color to almost like clay. Now let's press Shift A to add image texture. We're going to use this fingerprint. For now, I'm going to attach it to the base color so that you can see what is going on. And if you get the Wrangler node, so you can press Ctrl T, so you can get texture coordinate and mapping on. Now I want to make it a little bit bigger, set to 1.5. And now I'm going to add this color just to change from here to non-color data and add this to roughness. Now, if you notice, now we have like a wet clay look. We don't actually need it. What I need now is to invert this data. So press Shift A. I'm going to add color ramp. And now I'm going to make this a little like gray, so we have a matte finish, not too glossy, and bring this up here. And now I'm going to add another, press Shift A and add bump. This one is going to be attached to normal, and the color of this is going to be attached to high. Now the strength is extremely big. I want to make it like 0.1 or 0.15. Notice that the fingerprints are upward, not in. So we need to invert that by pressing Shift A. I'm going to add invert color, and now we have it in. And just like that, we now have our clay look shading. If you want, you can replace this by selecting another one. Now let's rename it, name it main.clay. And now let's get back to our layout and hide this. Make all the other stuff visible, not the reference. Now, what I'm going to do is to add, for example, this one. I'm going to materials. Now I have main clay. I do want this main clay. I want to duplicate it and name it clay.white for everything white in the scene. I'm going to change its color to completely like white. Right now, I want to apply to all clouds. Right now, what I'm going to do is to go to this one here and delete that material. I'm going to apply main clay. I'm going to duplicate it and rename it to bird body. In the base color, I don't want the base color, so I want to change it to image texture. It is black because we don't have the image. Let's open and select bird body base. And just like that, we do have our texture paint and did it in the clay look. The same thing goes here. I'm going to delete this and add main clay, duplicate it, rename to wood.1, go to image texture, and now add wood piece 1, just like so. The same thing goes here. Now I'm going to use this, delete this. And now for the nail, I believe all done now. We can check all of this in the render preview. Everything looks good. So right now the rest is all colors. Let's split the view vertically. Let's add image editor here and name our elements. Now I'm going to make this main clay, duplicate it and name it big top. And I'm going to change this color to this right here. And now select this one and add another big top. Name it just big as they have the same color. Here I'm going to add to it main clay, duplicate it and name it warm and change this color to this one. Now for this, I'll just select all three of them and press Ctrl J to join them. Now what I'm going to do is to add clay white and duplicate it and name it clay black for all black parts. Then change the color to black. For these two feathers, I'm going to add clay black. All black parts will be clay black. For this, press Ctrl I to select all and then press H to hide. I'm going to add main clay and duplicate it and rename it to bird.i.closed and change the color to the same as for the bird. And right now I'm going to go to modifiers and apply both. Now I'll go to the edit mode, hit L and then H to hide it. Press Alt-Shift-D to select the object. And now what I'm going to do is to go to Materials, add a new and select Assign. I'm going to assign clay black for this one. Right now I'm going to press Alt-H and again hit H to hide. Turn on the X-ray toggle and do the same thing here. Now I'm going to assign this black clay again and press Alt-H and go to the object mode. Now we have the eye. If you noticed, we have a lot of stretching right here. So what we can do is to join areas first and go to UV editing. Press A to select the whole object. Press U, Select Smart UV Project and let's increase it like that and click OK. Now I can go back to the layout and as you can see the issue is now solved. Press Alt H, hide that here. Now I'm going to hide this one, go to the main eye and assign clay white to it. In the edit mode, I'm going to select these squares, click Add, select clay black, and click Assign. And the same thing goes here for the nail. Just like that. Now, let's go to the object mode and press Alt H to hide this square again. For this shape, I'm going to add main clay and change the color to this one, or let's do darker. Now I'll select both the closed one and the open one, nail eye closed and nail eye left. And I'm going to press Shift D X and move it along the x-axis. And this one, I want them to be hidden. Pay attention that there are some stretching here as well. What we can do is to go to UV editing. First, switch to the object mode, apply subdivision, then go to the edit mode and choose select all. Press U, select Smart UV Project and click OK. And right now, if you go to layout, it looks good. Now press Ctrl I to select all and press H to hide, add shade smooth to this one and add white clay. And right now what I'm going to do is to go to the edit mode, go to loop tools and select circle. Also I'll assign clay black and click assign. Go to the object mode, press Alt H and turn on the render view. Almost done. Now to see this in the camera, we need to have a camera. So I'm going to press Shift A and select camera, go to the top view and move it here, get back to the front view. Now let's press 0, which is the camera view. Go to the camera properties to make everything in the right spot. Press F12. Here, if you notice, we have a fair amount of noise in the final render because here in the sampling settings, I disabled noise threshold and noise threshold in viewport and in render. Also, I decreased samples to 12 and 50 to make it much faster. Now what we can do about this is to split the view. And go here to compositor. I'm going to use nodes. Now I'm going to add render layers. Press Shift A, composite, and attach image to this one. What I'm going to do is to press Shift A to add denoise. And I want it to be fast. If I hit F12, now all the noise is nearly gone. Join areas. And now I'll go to the top view and enable the camera depth of field. I want it to be attached to the object, so press Shift A, select empty, and select plane axis. And I'm just going to get it out of here and rename it to focus. And now if I go to the camera, depth of field, I can choose focus. Now, depending on the focus location, there will be a focus. Press F12 and check. Right now, what I'm going to do is to split view again. Go to compositor, press M to hide this. Now what I'm going to do is to add alpha over and change the background color to this dark one. However, if I press F12, nothing is gonna happen because I have not set alpha in the render results. So I'll go to Film and enable Transparent. And just like that, if I press F12, there is going to be... okay, sorry. I need to change this one to this one. And now I can change the color. Now if I press F12, now what I can do to make it more fun and more beautiful is to add lens distortion here. I want it to be fit and I want to increase this value to like 0.1. And what I can do is to add another thing called glare. I want it to be fog glow. Decrease threshold to 0.8 and decrease this value as well. And now if I press F12, we'll get this pretty glowish look. And now we can move on to the animation part. I'm going to material view and hide the unnecessary objects from the viewport to avoid accidentally selecting them. And timeline, let's set the end to 180. And now let's select this wooden brick and the anchor point is here. I want it to be in the middle. Press Ctrl Alt X and select origin to center of mass. Right now I'm going to keying. I'm going to select location and rotation because I want to animate only this object and click on the record button. But there is only active keying set because it is in location and rotation. Now select the object and press I on the keyboard. This is going to get us the location and rotation for all of the axes. In the end, I'm going here to move it down of it. And in the middle, I'm going to move it higher. I'm going to duplicate the first one and move it to the last one. This is the way too slow, so I'm going to use the half of this period. Now I'm going to add some rotation along the z-axis. So I'm going to set like 0 degrees, set 25 degrees here, and like negative 25 degrees here. And now for the necessary axes, here and here, those are not changing. I'm going to delete those and stop the record. Now I'm going to the graph editor and select Z Euler rotation, select frame all, press S, and here too. And I'm going to make this kind of a linear animation. I don't want easing to be here or here. And now I'm going to select it again, modifiers, cycles, which is a loop. I don't want it to loop before, so select no cycles, and in after I want it to be 1. And now I'm going to have a seamless rotation all along. The same goes for Z location. I'm going to frame all. Right now I'm going to scale here and here. Press G to move it, and as for scale it, just like in the viewport. And let's now select it again, choose no cycles before and 1 after. Pay attention that there is kind of hitting. It needed to be east, so I'm going to select all of this and click here. There is a free add-on relative ease, auto smooth. And just like that. Yep, that's it. Go to another wooden brick, press Ctrl Alt X, origin to the center of mass, keying, let's leave it location and rotation. I'm going to click the record button again. Just like that. Now let's select actually these two, press Ctrl I and then H. Now I'm going to animate it. I have to move it to the center for this because I want it to rotate along the Z-axis. I have moved it from its original place. It's going to be odd. So what I'm going to do is to add 0 to everything here. Location and rotation. Now if I move it along the Z-axis, take a look at what I have, exactly what I want. And another way to record without the record button is to add it. I just want to add one here and one at the end. I'm going to set 360 and times 3. And add another keyframe. This is just like that, and it looks like this. Let's invert it. Make it negative and keyframe it again. To make it look like a wave. Now what I'm going to do is to delete this easing part. So I'm going to frame all, make this interpolation mode linear, so there is no easing at all. Now there is a tricky part with the eye. If I move the eye using G here and pair it with the worm, look what I have. The eye is rotating. I don't want the eye to rotate. I want it to be fixed. But if I move this, the eye moves along with it too. So I'm going to select it, go to constraints. I'm going to select copy location, copy the location of the worm body, and I'm going to enable offset. And just like that, when I move the worm, the eye moves with the body. And if I hit play, it will not rotate at all. So now if I go back to the reference and want to move the worm to its place, this is cool, but I want to rotate it. You can see that the eye stays in one place. That's okay, but look, the rotation is now off. So what I'm going to do is to add a new empty plane, move it to the center of this, and let's rename to worm.controller. And I'm going to select this one here, press Ctrl P, and select Object, Keep Transform. Now move it and rotate it in the right spot. Now, if you notice, we have maintained that look of the rotation and just the eye. I have now to move it to the right place. Now I'm going to have the location keyframe here. And in the middle, I'm going to lower it down and add another keyframe. And here I'll just duplicate this. And select the keyframes and go to the graph editor, frame all, cycles, just like that. For the eye, pay attention that I notice that I don't have the privilege to rotate it in the way I want. So what I'm going to do is to select it, press Shift S, cursor to active, press Shift A to add empty in the same spot. I'm going to rename it to Worm Eye Controller. I'm going to select this controller here and the main one here and parent them. Right now it's rotating. Now I'll select the eye and add another constraint called copy rotation. I'll copy from this exact eye control. Now if I select this, it will move properly. Now I'm going to keying, set rotation, and start the record and press I. And now I'm going to rotate it every 5 frames. I'm going to rotate this. To kind of look here and there, not here. Everything works smoothly. Stop recording, hide the reference, and press Alt H. Let's move on and hide these 2 objects. And now for the bird, I want to animate the blinking, the eye blinking first. Press Ctrl I and then H. Select this part, and I want to add a shape key, something called shape key. Go to the object mode, add one basis, and let's rename it eye animation. While selecting this, I'll go to the edit mode, select all of this and hide. And now in the middle point, press Shift S, cursor to active. Now press L to select all of this, and I want to rotate it around the 3D cursor. I'm going to rotate by holding down Control, and I'm going to scale it a bit. Press Alt H. Now I want to select this part and rotate it while holding down Control and scale it again. They have the same position. And press Shift S, cursor to world origin, and then go to the object mode. And I have done the blinking animation. You may notice that it's kind of overlapping with each other and is not so smooth. I'm going to repair this by adding a keyframe while it's wide open, right here. I'm going to use like 5 frames. This one is going to be closed, so it's 0. And press I. Now I'm going to just duplicate this. I have this kind of blinking. Now I want to move these 3 frames to extend the blinking time. Now just move this. Now what I have is this kind of animation. So I overcome this portion by selecting all of my keyframes and click interpolation constant. And just like that, I want a stop motion like. And I think when I press Alt H, now everything should look fine. That's it. Right now, I'm going to hide the camera. Cool. Now I want to have it like randomized. So I'm going to play around and duplicate all of this. Just like so. Now you may notice there is some stretching here. So let's fix it quickly. Go to UV editing, select all toggle, then press U and select Smart UV project. And now in the layout, it's kind of fixed, but just add shade smooth. And this one right here, UV editing. Okay. Let's now continue by duplicating. I want this one with the eye to be press Shift D to duplicate it on the other side. So I now have two-sided blinking. Notice that this eye should be adjusted by setting the rotation by 180 degrees along the x-axis. I'll rename all the parts of the eye. And I want this portion here to be a part of the wing. So let's just go to modifiers, apply subdivision, select it with the wing, and press Ctrl J to join it. Now we have them as one object. Now what I'm going to do is to select the eye, both open and closed status, and select the upper part and lower part of the beak, eyelashes, and whole body, and press Ctrl P, Object Keep Transform. Right now, when I move the bird, all of these parts are going to move with it. So let's just animate the bird. Press Ctrl Alt X, origin to the center of mass, and change this from 3D cursor to medium point. Now add a keying set to location and rotation and start recording. Only active keying set and press in the viewport eye. Something like this. I'll get back to the timeline and select the wing. And now I'm going to the edit mode. Select exactly this point and press Ctrl Alt X. Select origin to select it. And now I'm going to the object mode and rotate it. Now I'm going to keying, activate key set to rotation only, click the record button and press I. And just like that, stop recording. Now if I go to the top view, I want to press Shift D and move this to the other side of the bird so that we've got animation on both sides. Now for the mouth, I'm going to select it and press Ctrl I and then H. Select this, go to the edit mode, select this space and press Ctrl Alt X origin to select it. Go to the object mode, select this one, go to the edit mode, press Ctrl Alt X and origin to select the object mode. Let's animate again. Click the record button. Stop recording and go back to the object mode. Press Alt H. Now I have this kind of cool looking animation. Just one more step, which is moving the eye rotation. Now last but not least is the nail. I'm going just to delete this for now. Give it a shot one more time. So press Ctrl I and then H. Go to the edit mode. Press L and hide this. Select this one. Press Shift S and move the 3D cursor. Transform it into a 3D cursor. Press L. And before we do that, let's go to Data and Shape keys. Let's add nail closed eye. Now let's go back to the edit mode. Alt H. Select this one here. and copy these data. And now let's just add a keyframe here and press Ctrl V. And now it's going to blink properly. Yeah. I just want to duplicate it in the top view. Press Shift D and move it in front of eye. So right now they are both blinking. And now I can select all of this, the eyes, the nose, and finally the body. Press Ctrl V and select Object Keep Transformed, and that's it. Now when I move this, everything is going to move with it. Let's just match the rotation. Finally change this to medium point. Match the position of this nail in the reference and add now the animation. I'm going to edit. The last thing I want to make is to select this one and add like constraints, copy rotation. I'm going to copy this from this eye here. Now, if I rotate this eye, the other eye is going to rotate with it as well. I'm going to just animate this one. Let's click on the record button. Go to keying, set rotation, click on the eye, and here. And just like that. Stop recording. Now we have a cool looking animation that we can render. So click Save and render animation. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed it and see you later.